Oh, goodness. Well, everything looks good at my end, Cindy. We did have some technical trouble. I had to reboot my computer. So hopefully everything's working right. I don't know. I can't tell. Who knoweth? Who knoweth these things? What do I knoweth? I can tell you what I do knoweth. It's Tuesday, 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 the day that time forgot. Words of wisdom provided by my mom. Yes. On my birthday a year or so ago. Thanks, Ma. Mystery Beverage, Lori Trout. Okay, never too soon for the first shot. You guys talk. There we go. There we go. Julie Powell's in the house. Hey, Julie. Golly, Bob Howdy. What a group. What a thing. All here for the poetry break. Poetry break. Poetry break. Poetry break. Poetry break. Poetry break. Sorry. Yeah, a little control when it's poetry break time. You know, you wait all week, you know, the stress is just weighing you down. Like weather is, you know, does this to you. Mary Pecker's in the house. Finn Livingston's in the house. Hello, Finn. And then, you know, all of this time, it's 167 hours between poetry breaks. And it's those last few hours count down. It's like, I want to shake those shakers. I want to get the, yeah. So that's where we are. That's what it's all about. Mailbag is healthy. Got a healthy mailbag this week. Yes, indeed. I wanted to say thank you to Mary Pekka, who just today, this arrived from Mary Pekka, Uncollected Poems, Drafts, Fragments, and Translations by one Gary Snyder. We may have spoken of him a time or two in the past, and within was also a postcard of the fabulous Marianne Moore. We haven't really cracked the surface of Marianne Moore yet. Now that we have a picture of her, we can see that that crackage is, you know, moments away, perhaps. Sherry Vernon, I'm glad you're here because I wanted to start. Hey, there's John Gorski. Kim Nelson's in the house. Lame Cat Ranchers. Yes, indeed. Make sure there's a couple of minutes behind the audio. Ooh, that's a bummer. Scott Higgins. Scott and Rhonda in the house. Welcome, you guys. You guys have been traveling around doing, like, you know, Cape Decision Lighthouse stuff and stuff. You guys have been having your adventures. I've been having my adventures too, but I haven't left this room. No, I've left the room a couple of times. I had to go to the bathroom a couple of times, which is in a completely different room. So we're starting with a poem that Sherry Vernon sent in. She sent us a note, I think it was after last week, saying how much she appreciated the Lynn Ungar poems because they had led her to a further dive into Lynn Ungar, and she found Lynn Ungar's website, which I didn't know about until Sherry wrote and said she had found it. Yeah, I should have thought of, you know, Lynn Ungar. I was looking for her on the poetry organization website and stuff like that. Not finding much. Found a few YouTube videos, but then I thought, oh, wait, she has a website. Well, Sherry clued me into that. And Sherry found a poem on the website that I very much like, as did she. So, another Lynn Ungar poem to start us with tonight. This one's called Choice. This is the poem that Sherry Vernon liked so much. Choice. There isn't a right answer. There just isn't. The game show where the bells ring and the points go up and the confetti falls because you got the answer, it's a lie. The preacher who would assure you of how to attain salvation is making it all up. The doctor who knows just how to fix what ails you will be sure of something else tomorrow. The doctor who knows just how to fix what ails you will be sure of something else tomorrow. Every choice will wound someone, heal someone, build a wall, and open a conversation. Things will always happen that you can't foresee, but you have to choose. It's all we have, that little rudder that we employ in the midst of all the eddies and rapids, the current that pulls us inexorably toward the sea. The fact that you are swept along by the river is no excuse. Watch where you are going. Lean in toward what you love. When in doubt, tell the truth. I'm going to read that again. Yeah. It's getting warmed up here. Getting warm up there. Chrissy Chesmore. Hi, Chrissy. Good to see you again. Choice by Lynn Ungar. There isn't a right answer. There just isn't. The game show where the bells ring and the points go up and the confetti falls because you got the answer, it's a lie. The preacher who would assure you of how to attain salvation is making it all up. The doctor who knows just how to fix what ails you will be sure of something else tomorrow. Every choice will wound someone, heal someone, build a wall, and open a conversation. Things will always happen that you can't foresee, but you have to choose. It's all we have, that little rudder we employ in the midst of all the eddies and rapids, the current that pulls us inexorably toward the sea. The fact that you are swept along by the river is no excuse. Watch where you are going. Lean in toward what you love. When in doubt, tell the truth. I'm liking Lynn Ungar more and more the more I read of hers. So there you go. Mr. John Gorski sent in a poem this week as well. Yeah. John said this about the poem The Seven Sorrows by Ted Hughes. Oh, he said, I just sent you a copy of Ted Hughes' poem The Seven Sorrows from his 1980s book Season Songs. It seems appropriate to this time of year and some of the poems you read this past Tuesday night. Okay. All right. Thank you, John Gorski, for sending this in. Ted Hughes, The Seven Sorrows. The first sorrow of autumn is the slow goodbye of the garden who stands so long in the evening, a brown poppy head, the stalk of a lily, and still cannot go. The second sorrow is the empty feet of a pheasant who hangs from a hook with his brothers. The woodland of gold is folded in feathers with its head in a bag. And the third sorrow is the slow goodbye of the sun who has gathered the birds and who gathers the minutes of evening, the golden and holy ground of the picture. The fourth sorrow is the pond gone black, ruined and sunken, the city of water, the beetle's palace, the catacombs of the dragonfly. And the fifth sorrow is the slow goodbye of the woodland that quietly breaks up its camp. One day it's gone. It has only left litter, firewood, tent poles. And the sixth sorrow is the fox's sorrow, the joy of the huntsman, the joy of the hounds, the hooves that pound till earth closes her ear to the fox's prayer. And the seventh sorrow is the slow goodbye of the face with its wrinkles that looks through the window as the year packs up like a tatty fairground that came for the children. I like that. The Seven Sorrows by Ted Hughes. The first sorrow of autumn is the slow goodbye of the garden that stands so long in the evening, a brown poppy head, the stalk of a lily, and still cannot go. The second sorrow is the empty feet of a pheasant who hangs from a hook with his brothers. The woodland of gold is folded in feathers with its head in a bag. And the third sorrow is the slow goodbye of the sun who has gathered the birds and who gathers the minutes of evening, the golden and holy ground of the picture. The fourth sorrow is the pond gone black, ruined and sunken, the city of water, the beetle's palace, the catacombs of the dragonfly. And the fifth sorrow is the slow goodbye of the woodland that quietly breaks up its camp. One day it's gone. It has only left litter, firewood, tent poles. And the sixth sorrow is the fox's sorrow, the joy of the huntsman, the joy of the hounds, the hooves that pound till earth closes her ear to the fox's prayer. And the seventh sorrow is the slow goodbye of the face with its wrinkles that looks through the window as the year packs up like a tatty fairground that came for the children. Mm-hmm. John Gorski sent that. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. And finally, we had a poem from Heidi Muller. Yes, Heidi Muller is introducing us to a poet from Wallowa, Oregon. Yes. Hi, Bill. Nice to catch a few poems with you tonight. I'm sending you one that was just hatched by Cam Scott, released on Facebook 20 minutes ago. This is as of last week. He's an English teacher in the town of Wallowa, a half hour west of us. He has been a poet for years, is about 45 years old, has a new kid, and is used to making his living as a fishing guide. He's been writing a poem a day for most of this year. If you're on Instagram, I'm not, you can find it. I'll find all his poems at Find the Seam, S-E-A-M, Find the Seam, all one word. This one is number 233. I think it's pretty neat. Hope you like it, Heidi. So, a poem by a local Oregon poet from Wallowa, Oregon. And his name is Cam Scott, and this is called I Was a Tuft of Grass. I was a tuft of grass, talking with my friend the wind, bowing like a horse's head, springing like a rabbit. I listened to dew and followed the sun as it crossed the sky and sang all night, stood tall and bright, echoed like a thought among a million other tufts, a million, as the ground shifted beneath the smallest fibers, as roots held fast to earth, longing to become the earth they held. I was torn and eaten, my offering of sun. I was swept away in the fall by fire, ashes on the wind. I came back in spring, an afterthought of green. Lay your body next to mine, your fingers among my leaves, seeds stuck in socks and dog fur, pollen airborne up to 11 hours before landing back on Earth. A tuft bent down by mice for seeds, most of my carbon stored underground, most of my oxygen released. When the river floods, I can live submerged for more than a month, 6 weeks without water, 2 weeks without sunlight. I was a tuft of grass, growing in your mind. All night long I grew, this wild growth, peaceful in covering pill bugs and worms, bunched beneath the moon. Yeah, I do like this, Heidi. Thank you. I Was a Tuft of Grass by Cam Scott. Hi, Jamie. There's Bill Willem. I was a tuft of grass, talking with my friend the wind, bowing like a horse's head, springing like a rabbit. I listened to dew and followed the sun as it crossed the sky and sang all night, stood tall and bright, echoed like a thought among a million other tufts, a million, as the ground shifted beneath the smallest fibers, as roots held fast to earth, longing to become the earth they held. I was torn and eaten, my offering of sun. I was swept away in the fall by fire, ashes on the wind. I came back in spring, an afterthought of green. Lay your body next to mine, your fingers among my leaves, seeds stuck in socks and dog fur, pollen airborne up to 11 hours before landing back on Earth. A tuft bent down by mice for seeds, most of my carbon stored underground, most of my oxygen released. When the river floods, I can live submerged for more than a month. 6 weeks without water, 2 weeks without sunlight. I was a tuft of grass, growing in your mind. All night long I grew, this wild growth, peaceful in covering pill bugs and worms, bunched beneath the moon. That's I Was a Tuft of Grass by Cam Scott, Wallowa, Oregon. Thank you, Heidi Muller, for sending that poem in. There's your mailbag, folks. Bada boom, bada bing. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Now, on to something less formal, less, I don't know. Let's just deal with it, shall we? Oldmanhood hasn't been dormant, but it has been kind of off the rails the last few weeks. But that's okay. I've got some here. I'm going to read them. As I said, this is not anything that's finished. These are first drafts. I sit down at the piece of paper that's rolled into the typewriter and I just start to type. And when I think I'm done, I pull the page out, put a new one in, and come back later and try again. So I think I've got, what do I got here? 3? Got 4. 4 of these. Bear with me, please. Almost nowhere in the world, as autumn holds off for another week, I'll waddle my fat ass to the doctor today, a chest of insecurities in the presence of beauty. How do the strands stay upright in this ceaseless dryness, this forever August that won't let go? I praise with my palms up, I plant with my pen turned down. I wish to be free in my happiness, but my body wants more torture for its stories, more treasure near the edges. Poetry releases me, but not when my pen is so angry. Yeah? He's a squat little old man wearing cheap shoes and a rumpled vest because he thinks it hides his paunch. He's used up and repeats himself a lot. How many times have we heard the story of his glory day playing at the Paramount, his one delicious moment standing in the lip of the stage with his guitar when his guitar wouldn't work through the house system? When did we stop believing him? He's wearing those baggy shorts again. He says he can't stand temperatures above 60. He cowers, blinks, says his eyes are burning, says his body is vibrating with electricity. Can we call someone? He takes a fistful of pills 3 times a day. Where's the relief? Where's our pills? We had compassion for the first few years, but what do you expect, martyrdom? Our interest only lasts to the end of the block. Won't sign his suicide note, won't pay for his pizza, won't honor his claims. He only sings when it rains. Yeah. Okay. This one I like a little better. First line's a little rough. This is how we die. By giving up the little note-taking, conversation overhearing, squirrel and crow observing, people peeping, line gathering on lined pages way of life that is the only way. The sun is on the far trees, but not yet on the next door rooftop. Sunlight moves downward if you're looking the other way. Down the trees, down the houses and business district, move towards us on the east-west streets and cars parked, down the lawn till it kisses our wiggling toes. Now we can live another day. Now the darkness parts. Now the green is revealed. The twinkling black gone blue, and it's up to you to make it real. I wasn't pointing directly at you, but, it's kind of the general you, kind of the me you, the you that is me, the me that is you, a community of yous and me's. Jack, by request. Jack in the sun of the sutras, in the moon of his mess. He didn't last long enough to enter old manhood, though some say he was born that way. The loss of a brother, the Catholic tent, the wandering asphalt, and where it all went, led to his downfall in the grinders of fame, of some great expectations and rivers of rain. Now he is pasted on posters and pins. No one remembers where his legend begins. Right foot on the asphalt, left in the dirt, waiting for Neil, who's retrieving his shirt. I knew you better when I was young and embittered, but you still roll your smokes in my dreams. If I could retrieve you, if I could redeem you, translate your powers into words that would work in the capital crimes of these times, then I would. The result would be good. They'd walk in your boot prints as far as they could. There you have it. The offerings of old manhood. This is it's getting hard to stuff more in here. This is a pretty thick stack. Yeah, somebody's going to have to go through this and figure out what... That's probably me. Means I'm going to have to read them again at some point. It makes me shake. It makes me shiver. Makes me shiver and shake. It's the hand, ladies and gentlemen. The hand is the hand. Ooh, what is that lovely scent? The hand dropped out. The hand lets us know that Julie Powell's in the house. Scott and Rhonda Higgins, Bill Woolham, Bridget Lacey, Cindy Snyder, Holly Tuttle and Kim Nelson, Rochelle Hamill, Mary Pekka, Mark Kenny, Lori Trout, Katrina Knight, Finn Livingston, John Gorski, Sherry and Tim Vernon, Jamie Turner. Oh my goodness. Jamie Turner. Hey, good to see you. Yeah. Good. Where was I going? Oh, yes, I know where I was going. I was going to Jack. I don't know. It's Jeff Steve not here. Jeff wanted to hear some Jack Kerouac. Oh well. Well, we're going to hear some Jack Kerouac regardless. I wanted to read Desolation Blues from this book here. This is the Book of Blues, published by, hey, Theo. Theo's in the house. Book of Blues, published by Penguin some years back. When was this published by Penguin some years back? Back right around the 1995 mark. Yes, it's a collection of his different blues sequences. And I want to read Desolation Blues. But first I wanted to read a paragraph from the introduction to this book, which was written by Robert Creeley, another great poet that we all respect. I just thought he had some interesting things to say about the poetry of that time. Hard now to go back to the time when Jack Kerouac was writing these poems, the 50s and early 60s, and to the way people then felt poetry should be written and what they thought it should be saying. Perhaps it hardly matters that much of the poetry of that time found little popular audience, or that it spoke in a way that often confounded its readers. There was a high culture and a low one, and poetry was something significantly attached to the former. The rest was just the passing blur of pop songs and singers, or else the shady edges of black culture and its curiously enduring jazz. Great composers like Stravinsky might use such forms for context, and might even get someone like Benny Goodman to play the results, but it always seemed an isolated instance, if not overt slumming. That was the problem, in fact, not only with music or poetry, but with writing itself. There was an intense orthodoxy, an insistent critical watchguard patrolling the borders of legitimate literature to keep all in their necessary places. If one came from habits or ways of speaking or thinking that weren't the requisite pattern, then the response was abrupt and hostile. Even a poet such as Kenneth Rexroth, admitting his complex relation to Kerouac from their times together in San Francisco, wrote of Mexico City Blues, 1959, that it constituted a naive effrontery to have published it as poetry, and that it was, quote, more pitiful than ridiculous, unquote. Donald Allen's breakthrough anthology, The New American Poetry, published in 1960, soon made clear the resources and authority of what Kerouac and others of his situation were doing, but for a time it seemed that even the viable elders would prove too fixed in their aspirations or disappointments to recognize its authority. What was the common dream? To be enough of whatever was wanted, to be real, to be included. That meant thinking and talking and moving in one's own legitimacy, one's own given world, with its persons, habits, humor, and place. It was Ginsberg who early on valued particularly Kerouac's crucial insight that one might write in the same words and manner that one would use in talking to a friend. There didn't have to be a rhetorical heightening or a remove from the common, the intimate, and the personal. Yeah. That's what I like about Jack Kerouac, and also about Allen Ginsberg and a lot of the people of that, including Robert Creeley, of that era. But I wanted to read Desolation Blues. Now, I showed you guys a book last week. Was it last week? Was it the week before? It was one of these weeks. And I wanted to show it again because it didn't get that much of a look. It's a fairly weighty tome. It's called Poets on the Peaks. There is a paperback version of it that's the same size. And it is subtitled Gary Snyder, Philip Whalen, and Jack Kerouac in the North Cascades. Text and photos by John Suter, who has made quite a study here. And it's a really nice historical document, as well as, it's a historical document. It's a lot of biographical info about those poets. So Jack Kerouac spent, I think, was it 60 days? I can't remember if it was 2 months or 3, on Desolation Peak, which I think was the hardest of the lookout posts to get to. And that's why he picked it. He wanted to be as remote as could be allowed. And so it was quite a task just to get there. And when he got there, he did not find what he was looking for. So it's kind of like he also wrote a book called Big Sur. That was another effort by him to get away from a lot of what was impacting him and try to find solace. And then he went, and it became yet another debauched episode. I would have to say, speaking strictly for myself, I think there's more poetry in Jack Kerouac's prose than there is music in these long sequences. But these are what was published as poetry of Jack Kerouac, and I have to admire his courage in even putting these things forward. So here's to you, Jack. Like I said, I think Jack Kerouac appeals to younger men for the sense of freedom that he represented, which is not what he wanted for himself. He was one of those people who becomes the spokesman for a generation when he has no interest in being that, or had no desire or aspiration to be that. That kind of gets hung around his neck like an albatross. I think of Kurt Cobain as someone from my generation, or from my era, who also got kind of caught up in that. And it leads to despair and destructive spiraling. I don't know, that's just one man's opinion. I don't pretend to know actually anything about someone else's experience. So this is Desolation Blues. There's 12 parts to it. And these parts were mostly written in notebooks about this size, which Kerouac used to carry around in his shirt pockets, like you do, with his pen and his little notebook. And he would write these in these little notebooks. So they're fairly short segments. Desolation Blues in 12 choruses. First chorus. I stand on my head on Desolation Peak and see that the world is hanging into an ocean of endless space, the mountains dripping rock by rock like bubbles in the void, and tending where they want, that at night the shooting stars are swimming up to meet us, yearning from the bottom black, but never make it, alas. That we walk around clung to earth like beetles with big brains, ignorant of where we are, how, what, and upside down like fools, talking of governments and history. But Mount Hozomene, the most beautiful mountain I ever seen, does nothing but sit and be a mountain. A mess of double-pointed rock hanging, pouring into space. Oh, frightful, silent, endless space. Everything goes to the head of the hanging bubble. With men, the juice is in the head, so mountain peaks are points of rocky, liquid yearning. Jack's got his own flow. Second chorus. Mountains have skin, said Peter Orlovsky of San Francisco, and gorges shoot up clouds of mist that look like planet smoke. Dead trees, artistic as a cottage in Truro, look like great look like goat horns off a rock. Alpine firs turn evergreen browns by August 1st when summer's dead at high elevations. The creeks roar with cataracts tumble pouring, but it's all upside down and strange. Why do I sit here cross-legged on this streaming rock surface of a planet called Earth, scribbling with a pencil unmusical songs called songs, and why worry my juicy head and rail my bony hand at words and look around for more, and nothing means nothing as of yore? 'Tis the primordial essence, manifesting forms of happy and unhappy, stuff and no stuff, matter and space, phenomena front, nomina behind, out of exuberant nothingness. Third chorus. Yet birds mumble in the morning, and raccoons tumble down the draws. I saw one hit by his own rock in a lil raccoon avalanche, and its furs point as ever to infinity. Their fine points and furs point as ever to infinity. Their fine points, top points too. Birds squeak like mice, and moonlight bucks and does graze in my yard like cows with big shootable flanks, and hooves of eternity clatter on the rocks, run away when I open the door. Down the hill, like silly frightened schoolteachers. Chipmunks are well named, bears and abominable snowmen I have not yet seen. Proud of that line, rock slides like generations to form. I try to rush it along. No rain in a month, nor yet a month. Within a month, the beaked furthurial pine points. The beaked furthurial pine points at a crazy upside-down mid-morning moon as delicate as a slide, like snow. Fourth chorus. All the worries that have plagued everybody since Moses, Homer, Sappho, Uparli, cannibals, and worrying and playing me on this mount of mystery. I've T.S. Elioted all the fogs, Faulknered all the stones, balanced nothing against something, played solitaire, smoked, brought bashing sticks to midnight, frightful long-tailed rats, and ranted at mosquitoes, and remembered my mother, her sweet labors of home, and the cold-eyed sister who made a bum out of me, and friends and good times, and prayed and gave up prayer, and pondered history, myths, stories, artistic plans, plays, French movies, phalanxes of disordered human crazy thought, and still it's upside down, silent, stiff, won't yield, won't tell, a big empty puppet stage with rock. Fifth chorus. Distant valleys in Canada look like they'd beckon, but I know better. I yearn for the flatlands again, the gentle hill. At 4 p.m. the clouds of hope are horizon's salmon floaters full of strange promise, abstracted from the golden age in my breast. Patches of snow don't do anything but be patches of snow till they melt, and then water. It's nothing but water, till sun evaporates, then mist. It's, as I look, nothing but mist as it rises, ululatory, responding to every shift of wind, and will be mist, and will be mist. And ants are nothing but just ants, and rocks will sit where they are forever, less'n I move 'em, throw 'em down the gorge, and then they spit 'em in it. Sixth chorus. I just don't understand. Though mist'll be mist till heavens abjure, though man'll be man till heavens abjure, or hell's obscure, I just don't understand. I want to know. Soon's ado, I don't understand. If I said, I don't care, I understand that, it doesn't matter. Still, the birdie clings to earth, he don't go silent on me. I don't stop writing, I don't stop living. What a fool. Bust the bird. The only thing that ever happens to Hozo Mean is that he'll get a wreath of clouds every now and then and breed to revel without moving a mighty shoulder. I envy him his rock. Ozo means another one of the peaks up there in the North Cascades. 7th chorus. But I want to live. I want to get down off this Chinese Han Shan hill and make it to the city and walk the streets and drink good wine, Christian Brothers port, or whiskey, early times, or old granddad, and go to Chinese movies on Saturday afternoon and buy presents in the window and watch the dust gather on little stationary toys in celluloid windows of children and go to the vast markets and eat tortillas, beans, ice cream, and crime, the banana splits and tea and benzodrine and broads and waterfronts and plays and play marquees and square times. And you, I'd like to celebrate upside down in cities. Once I saw a giant in a building. This is the 8th chorus. He's here now, bending over me, giant diamond gone insane. Ta, the golden eternity, ta, 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 trumpet, ta, ta. This giant diamond might. Here is gone some name or other, but I don't know, I don't care, and it makes no difference. And now I'm wise. When the whole wide world is fast asleep, I cry. Let me offer you my reassuring profile, saying, it's okay, girl, we'll make it till the sun goes down forever, and until then, what you got to lose but the losing? We're fallen angels who didn't believe that nothing means nothing. 9th chorus. We're hanging into the abyss of blue. In it is nothing but innumerable and endless worlds, more numerous even, and the number of beings, than all the rocks that cracked and became little rocks, and all that rib of rock that extends from Alaska, nay, the Aleutian tips, down through these high cascades, through the California and Ensenada, down through the high Tepic, down to Tehuantepec, down the rib to Guatemala and on Colombia, Andes, till the high-bottom Chilean and Tierra del Fuego, oh yoy yoy, and on around to Siberia. In other words, and all the grains of sand that comprise a rock, and all the grains of atom stuff therein. More worlds than that in the empty blue sea. We hang in, upside down, too much to be real. 10th chorus. But it's real. It's as real as the squares on this page, and as real as my sore ass sitting on a rock, and as real as hand, sun, pencil, knee, ant, breezed, stick, water, tree, color, peop, bird feather, snag, smoke, haze, goat, appearance, and low crazed cloud, and dream of the far northwest, and the little mounted policeman of my dreams on a ridge, not an Indian in sight, real as fog in London town, and croissants in Paris, and Schmurden pretzels in Priena, and Praha, Maha, fuck it, real, unreal, deal, zeal. I say don't care if it's real or unreal. Eyes. 11th chorus. He's going slowly insane. I don't know if you've noticed that. And if you don't like the tone of my poems, you can go jump in the lake. I have been empowered to lay my hand on your shoulder and remind you that you are utterly free. Free as empty space. You don't have to be famous, don't have to be perfect, don't have to work, don't have to marry, don't have to carry burdens, don't have to gnaw and kneel. The taste of rain. Why kneel? Don't even have to sit, hozo mean, like an endless rock camp. Go ahead and blow, explode and go. I won't say nothing, neither this rock, and my outhouse doesn't care, and I got nobody. And I got no body. 12th chorus. Little weird flower, why did you grow? Who planted you on this goddamned hill? Who asked you to grow? Why don't you go? What's wrong with your orange tips? I was under the impression that you were supposed to be some kind of perfect nature. Oh, you are? just jiggle in the wind? I see. At your feet I see a nosegay, bouquet, of 7 little purple apes who didn't grow so high, and a sister of yours further down the precipice, and your whole family to the left. I thought last week you were funeral bouquets for me that never asked to be born or die. But now I guess I'm just talking through my empty head. Yeah. Desolation blues. The real blues. Yeah. A lot of Kerouac's blues were more celebratory. That one felt more real because it was chronicling an experience that was not what he had hoped for. He had this really great idea about living completely isolated for a couple of months. But by the time he got to where he was going, he'd moved on to other ideas. So that's kind of the way his mind worked. He was about 2 weeks ahead of himself, which would be tough. It would be tough to live that way, don't you think? I think it would be. Yeah. Well, folks, that's all I have prepared for tonight. Don't know what to tell you. It's only 7:41. Wow. And yet I appreciate you guys coming. I'm trying to get the nose up on Oldmanhood. I don't know what's happening. I hit these kinds of patches in my writing. I just don't usually read that much of it out loud to other people. So perhaps I should adopt a more strong editorial voice when it comes to sharing my own thingies. But I'll tell you who else I've been reading. Let me just show you some of the highlights. Here's a great book that I'm just cracking. Maggie Smith, Good Bones. More to come from that. Seems to be some print. Someone's doing some printing. Perhaps they're printing things for the hand. The hand. The hand. Oh, right. But we already read that one.
I know. Read it again.
Oh, I see. The hand speaks. The hand speaks. The hand wants me to read Bullies again, which is another Lynn Ungar poem. That's good. Rather than moving to another poet, why don't I just read? The stack over here is getting a little unstable, people. This one over here I've got pretty manageable. You know, I had to rearrange my poetry books to make more space. Yeah, I did that. That's the kind of commitment. Sorry. This is Bullies by Lynn Ungar, which we read a while back, but bears rereading, as do all the poems. And they some of them bear being read by someone who reads them better than I do. As you can see, I don't know, Kerouac just does not trip off my tongue, although his prose. Perhaps that's what I should have read Midnight in the Railroad Earth or something like that. Yeah, but online, if you go to YouTube, you can look up Jack Kerouac and Steve Allen. The first recording that Kerouac made with Steve Allen playing the piano is available in its entirety on YouTube. Just look for Jack Kerouac, Steve Allen. Bullies by Lynn Ungar. Might as well admit it, the bullies are running the school. No teacher, no parent, no principal is stepping in. They will take what they can, add it to their hoard, and toss some bright coin of power to the henchmen who roam the halls. I wish I knew how to make it safe. I wish I knew how to send us all back to science or language or music or math or whatever it was that we came here to do. I wish. The bullies will not be satisfied, because brutality does not satisfy. They have set the terms of a game no one can win. It may come down to the need to hide. But don't hide out alone. We are gathering in the library, behind the science fiction stacks. We are holed up in the art room with our colored pens, and we are yelling in soundproofed practice rooms. We have brought our instruments to the band. We have brought our voices to the choir. We still have words to print in the bulletin and the yearbook and the poetry chapbook we expect no one to read. We are plotting behind the bleachers, and we are still determined to put on the play. We probably won't catch the conscience of the king who is utterly without shame, but we have come together to learn our lines, to sing our songs, to live the lives the bullies cannot imagine. I'm going to read it again. I probably read it twice the first time, so this is actually the fourth time I've read this poem on the broadcast. Bullies. Might as well admit it. The bullies are running the school. No teacher, no parent, no principal is stepping in. They will take what they can, add it to their hoard, and toss some bright coin of power to the henchmen who roam the halls. I wish I knew how to make it safe. I wish I knew how to send us all back to science or language or music or math or whatever it was we came here to do. I wish. The bullies will not be satisfied because brutality does not satisfy. They have set the terms of a game no one can win. It may come down to the need to hide. But don't hide out alone. We are gathered in the library, behind the science fiction stacks. We are holed up in the art room with our colored pens, and we are yelling in soundproof practice rooms. We have brought our instruments to the band. We have brought our voices to the choir. We still have words to print in the bulletin and the yearbook and in the poetry chapbook we expect no one to read. We are plotting behind the bleachers, and we are still determined to put on the play. We probably won't catch the conscience of the king who is utterly without shame, but we have come together to learn our lines, to sing our songs, to live the lives the bullies cannot imagine. Lynn Ungar. LynnUngar.com. LYNNUNGAR. Lynn Ungar. Yeah. And thanks to Sherry Vernon for reminding me or notifying me or happening to mention or sending me the link to the poem choice, because that sent me to the Lynn Ungar website. All right. So, thanks everybody once again for coming. Thank you, Bill and Cindy and Mark and Jamie. Colette. Hello, Colette. Sandra Swayze. Shelley Posice was here again. Hello, Shelley. Who else? Rochelle and John Gorski and Holly Tuttle. Oh my gosh. Theo. I'm scrolling. I'm sorry. It's not doom scrolling. It's joy scrolling. And thanks to the hand. Always to the hand. Who keeps me steady when I am unsteady. You know, I can be writing stuff like that in Oldmanhood and still be living a good life in a wonderful house with a wonderful wife. And somebody who is way smarter and probably stronger than me, could probably take me in a fair fight, and who I love with all my heart. Thanks, guys. Have a very poetic week, and I hope to see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel, 167 hours from right